The Eiffel Tower is in danger. This iconic landmark, which has withstood an occupation, 2 world wars, and even the threat of demolition in 1903. But none of these challenges compare to its biggest enemy, rust. For over 100 years, the Eiffel Tower has been struggling against the wind and rain in Paris, and it seems like it might be losing this fight. Now there's a $64 million effort underway to save the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was never intended to stand the test of time. Originally built as a temporary monument for the 1889 World's Fair, it was meant to rise above Paris for just 20 years before being dismantled. However, 135 years later, the tower not only remains standing, but has also become one of the most beloved and iconic structures in the world. But now, the tower is beginning to show signs of its age.
The Eiffel Tower is crumbling, and the only solution to stop its decay is a full renovation.
Ideally, the tower should be repainted every 7 years, but the last restoration was delayed due to the pandemic. Now it's undergoing a $64 million repainting effort to prevent it from crumbling. Yet, some experts argue that this repainting is merely cosmetic and doesn't address the severe rust issues the tower faces. In a confidential report leaked to a French magazine, one unnamed manager even remarked that if Gustave Eiffel, the engineer who designed the tower, were to see it today, he would be shocked. Gustave Eiffel knew that rust would be a challenge and had plans to manage it, but first, he had to convince the people of Paris not to tear it down. In the 1880s, Paris was preparing to host the World's Fair, celebrating 100 years since the French Revolution. Given the importance of the event, the French decided to create a landmark that would showcase their technological skills and serve as the centerpiece of the international gathering. Gustave Eiffel won a competition to design a new landmark, a 1,000-foot tall tower, which would be the tallest man-made structure in the world. Gustave Eiffel, known for his significant engineering achievements such as the Porto Viaduct and the Statue of Liberty, took his engineering concepts to new heights with the Eiffel Tower. Before the Eiffel Tower was built, the Washington Monument in the United States was the tallest man-made structure at 169 meters. At that time, many architects and engineers believed that building anything taller than 200 meters would be a huge challenge, requiring years of planning and preparation. Despite this, Gustave and his team submitted their ambitious plans for a 300-meter wrought iron lattice tower, something the world had never seen before. Construction began on July 1, 1887. While the Washington Monument took several decades to build, the Eiffel Tower was completed in just 22 months. It was built efficiently with a relatively small workforce of around 200 steel workers and painters. Eiffel also used innovative cranes that climbed up the sides of the tower as it was built, allowing the structure to grow higher and higher. Every component of the Eiffel Tower was crafted in Eiffel's factories located on the outskirts of Paris. And because of its precise and intricate design, much of the labor that went into the construction was actually perfecting the curves and complex angles of the structure. Every bolt and metal piece had to fit perfectly, and if any piece didn't, it had to be sent back to the factory for adjustments. In total, more than 18,000 pieces of wrought iron and 2.5 million rivets were used to build the tower. Upon its completion, the Eiffel Tower was met with widespread criticism from the French public. Parisians called the tower a tragic street lamp and deemed it incomplete and deformed. Despite the criticism, Gustave Eiffel worked hard to defend his creation, arguing that there could be beauty in his engineering marvel. Over time, public opinion began to shift. By the time the tower opened to the public in 1889, it attracted 2 million visitors in just the first 6 months. The Eiffel Tower quickly transformed from a controversial piece of architecture into a beloved global icon. However, the 300-meter monument quickly became useful for much more than just its original purpose. As the 20-year deadline approached, it was clear that the tower had become a valuable resource for radio telegraphy, communications, and astronomy. Its status as the tallest man-made structure in the world made it an ideal site for conducting research in these fields. By the late 1900s, the tower was regularly used as a radio transmitter, and a permanent underground radio center was built near its south pillar. Because of its growing importance in scientific research and communications, the French government allowed the tower to remain standing even after the 1909 deadline. Though the Eiffel Tower is one of the most famous landmarks in the world, it holds a few secrets that many people are not aware of. One of the lesser-known facts is the existence of a secret 100 square meter apartment at the very top. Gustave Eiffel designed this apartment as his private space, where he could host important guests and conduct scientific experiments. The apartment was only accessible through a small spiral staircase, and only a select few scientists personally invited by Eiffel ever entered. Despite receiving offers of large sums of money to rent out the space, Eiffel never accepted. Today, the apartment is open to the public, restored to look as it did in the late 1800s. Despite its enduring beauty, recent reports have revealed some troubling findings about the Eiffel Tower's condition. A 2010 report recommended a complete overhaul of the tower's maintenance procedures. Then in 2014, an inspection revealed widespread rusting and cracking, with only 10% of the latest coat of paint adhering properly to the structure. Another report in 2016 identified 885 faults in the tower, including 68 issues that pose significant risks to its durability. The original plan was to strip a third of the tower and apply 2 new coats of paint, but delays caused by the pandemic and high levels of lead in the old paint have left only 5% of the tower being treated. Experts are worried that the $64 million repaint might make the existing paint defects worse and could cause more corrosion. Despite these concerns, the tower's operating company is hesitant to close the monument for an extended period, since it draws around 7 million visitors annually, generating nearly 100 million euros in revenue. Unfortunately, operating costs can sometimes surpass these earnings. Maintaining the tower is no easy feat, and it's still done much the same way as it was 135 years ago. Eiffel Tower is constructed from puddle iron, a material that theoretically could last forever if properly maintained and kept rust-free. If this multi-million-dollar repaint turns out to be just a temporary fix, the responsibility will fall to future generations of Parisians to safeguard the tower's structural integrity and ensure that it remains a beloved symbol of France for centuries to come. Another phenomenon that could gradually weaken this historic landmark over time is the constant heating and cooling of its metal structure. During the day, the sun heats up the structure, and this causes the metal to expand slightly. When night falls and temperatures drop, the metal contracts back to its original size. This daily cycle of expansion and contraction happens constantly. In fact, the Eiffel Tower can grow and shrink by up to 15 centimeters every day due to this process. If this natural movement isn't managed over time, it could eventually weaken the structure's support. While it would take thousands of years before it could actually happen, regular maintenance is essential to prevent any long-term damage. What are your thoughts on the Eiffel Tower? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, please like and subscribe.